On June 27th, I will be grocery shopping. What will you be doing?
I hopefully climbing out of the water in the south of Italy and the north of Italy, because what I have on my agenda is I would like to swim Lago Maggiore, which is a 66-kilometer swim, which means 24 to 26-hour non-stop swimming without holding a boat or a support crew or anything like this. So non-stop swimming without a wetsuit, if this is maybe the next question which is coming up. Just my goggles, my swim cap, and my speedo. That's it.
And how does one train for something like this? You just live in the water?
And that's an interesting question because I get that really often. I'm not a professional athlete, just to be clear. I'm a father of 5 kids. I'm a full-time manager, so I have my business. I have enough stuff to do. So this is the difficult part. I did already last year. No, let me give you the big picture because I think it's important that you get the big picture. In 2016, I got diagnosed with cancer from one day to another. So I had a customer meeting got cancelled, and I had kind of knots here since a year. And I was directly in front of my doctor and said, okay, maybe I can use the time and walk up and ask, hey, what's that? And he said, 10 days later, diagnosed cancer was here. And the interesting thing is, just a couple of months before, I had stopped playing water polo. So I have finished my water polo career. And some weeks before, my national coach asked me, could you maybe do a comeback because we are needing experienced guy. He said, old guys, I'm going to call it experienced guy, because a couple of people got injured for a tournament in the spring. And I said, give me a couple of days time. Let me go into the water if I still have it in me and if I still have the fire. Fire was immediately there, but it didn't turn out to be a comeback. It turned out to be a chemotherapy and a radiotherapy. And during that time, I set myself a goal and I said, I want to win my 10th water polo title. Everybody I talked to said, are you crazy? You're going to have a chemotherapy and a radiotherapy, and you're talking about going back into one of the hardest team sports, which is there. And I said, yeah, that's my goal. And the good thing is that carried me through the whole therapy because it made the therapy a kind of a byproduct of my goal, which sounds a little bit difficult or strange, but we can talk about that later. And 18 months later, I have accomplished that goal, just to finish the story here. But then everything began. I was looking for my identity for 7 years. I did everything. I was super successful on paper. I was happy. We had a happy family. We still have. Was climbing the corporate ladder. So everything on paper was fine. But inside me, there was something which was not in line. I needed to recalibrate it, but I had no clue how because I didn't know what it was. And it took me really 7 years until I found out, hey, I'm not a runner. Because at that time I was running trail marathons, nearly 190, nearly 100 kilo. You are definitely not a trail runner. And on the mountain, on one of the mountains, I realized, hey, maybe I should be swimming again because this is what I am. I'm a water guy. And then I had the idea, I would like to swim Lake Constance, which is the lake close to my hometown where I was raised, which is a 65-kilometer swim. And I was always fascinated by that one. How can you swim that long? Keep in mind, my longest open water distance at that time was 2.5 kilometers, so far away from 65 kilometers. And I told it a couple of people. Again, I got, you can assume what? Are you crazy? That's not possible. Don't do it. Except my 2 coaches who said, cool idea, let's do it. And so we started it. Naive as I was, I didn't knew that you need to have a cold water certificate to be allowed to swim. So that means you need to show them that you have been in the water for 8 hours, colder than the lake is expected to be when you're going to do the long swim. Was that clear? More or less. And I did that one. And I know in preparation of that one, I said, hey, I could use the lake in front where I'm now living, which is just an 8-hour swim. Cool idea. ChatGPT, give me 7 iconic lakes. And ChatGPT came up with a list and said, that's it. That's the Alpine 7. So full story, closing the story, I decided to create the so-called Alpine 7. I'm swimming through 7 lakes, 7 iconic Alpine lakes. Why? Because during my cancer therapy, I realized that everybody knows somebody with cancer, but we don't talk about it. It's a taboo. And that's why I wanted to raise awareness for this topic. I have found my identity again. I wanted to inspire. I wanted to be authentic. Hey, I got it. I'm going to swim. And I have done last year already 3 lakes. And as mentioned before, on Friday this week, I will start to swim Lago Maggiore.
And has anyone accomplished these 7 lakes, or you would be the first?
All the 7, nobody has done all the 7 lakes in one. As far as I know, Lake Constant was done by, when I did it, only 5 people before me, and 30 have failed. But 2 people did it already after me. Lago Maggiore was only done by 1 person until last week. Then another guy, Niall Gilson, swam it through. He's a machine, by the way. He also did Lake Constance after me. And he's also raising awareness for the illness of his son. It's also a good cause that he's doing. So big kudos to Niall. But he crashed the record. So this was a little bit bad timing. He could swim after me because then I could at least look a little bit good. Now I'm not going to make a record because Niall is from another planet, but that's another story. And how do you train for that one? To close that question, it's not that much as you assume. Because when we talked about the preparation for Lake Constance, I had a call with the guy, Christoph Wanderach, who was the first to swim through the lake 10 years or 20 years, 10 years ago, I think. And he said, I trained 100 kilometers per week. I was like, coaches, no way, I don't have the time to do this. It's a no-go. But he was a professional athlete. And my coach said, no, we're going to do it another way. We're going to focus mainly on interval training. And we're going to include strength training and the ski ergometer. I'm not sure if you know that one. It's currently famous from High Rocks.
I don't think so.
It looks like when you go for ski, for cross country.
Okay.
So I'm normally going to be 3 times in the water, normally from between 5 and 8 o'clock in the morning, because I need to be in the office at 8. And I do 2 strength sessions per week, which I do in my cellar with minimum equipment. And additionally 2 cross-country sessions, but one is on Saturday, because Saturday is the tough day where we're going to do cross-country in the morning and swimming in the evening. And Sunday is free. So it's normally an hour per day.
I can't comprehend swimming for that, for even like 3 kilometers. It baffles my mind. What's going through your mind? Like how is it different than running far distance? Because isn't it a lot harder to kind of track of how far you've gone? And is it more of like, do you get in a deeper state compared to like running or any other sport? Because you're kind of just in a giant bathtub in a way, like where it's just you and the water and you can't really.
Yes and no, but quickly, our question, do you hear background noise? Do you
For
hear
a second, but it stopped.
Because otherwise I'm going to close the window.
Yeah, close the window.
Give me a second. You can cut it out, or?
Yeah, it should be able to cancel it out.
Perfect. Swimming and running is a big difference, because in running, for example, you could stop and just walk for a couple of minutes, or you can sit down. In water, that's impossible. If you're going to sit down, you're going to sink. It's a no-go. But you also said about the meditative state. It is, because in Lake Constance last year, my swim was nearly done after 8 kilometers. So 8 kilometers out of 65, because I had a full panic attack. And the panic attack was because I'm not a swimmer. So that was going up in my mind. I'm not a swimmer. I have the wrong technique. I have never done a longer swim than 2.5 kilometers, except the cold water swim a couple of weeks before. I have never tested the nutrition. 30 people have already failed. Why should I be the 6th person who can swim it? You have never trained swimming in the night. So that was going up in my mind. Really, it was like, oof. Thanks God, my crew, which was on the support boat, realized that I'm doing something strange in my mind. And they have contacted my wife and my sister, and they have sent them a voice message. The voice message was, they have sang a song for me, and this is embarrassing for a male. It's called "I'm a Big Big Girl." I have heard that song, and immediately I knew I'm going to swim the 56 kilometers until the end. Can happen whatever one. It was really like this. They have switched the something up in my brain, and I was like, I'm going to finish that one. And then the night was coming because we started at 5 p.m. And the night, which I was afraid before, was the most meditative thing I've ever done in my life. Unbelievable. It was not relaxing, don't get me wrong, but it was meditation pure. It was like it was dark. The boat had a light under the boat that you could have a little bit of kind of an guidance. There was the sound of the motor, the sound of my strokes, the light, and that was it. That was really I, meditation pure. It's not. The time was flying by. I was so scared for before of the night. It was the best thing I've ever done. Unbelievable.
Uh, it's refreshing to hear that you just like weren't a fish to water, and it does take some mental preparedness or learning, because when you hear someone's story like yours, you're like, oh, he's just a natural, and he just got, and there's like a drive that I don't have or something. So it's nice to it's refreshing to hear that.
I'm making a statement where a lot of swimmers most probably will hate me, but I say everybody can do it. And I still believe that. Maybe not that quick, maybe not with just 10 months preparation, but I still have to believe that everybody can do it because I grew up with that. If you have a goal and you really, really want to make it and you have a why behind it, you can achieve nearly everything, in my opinion. Because when I was 17, I was a school dropout. I was too dumb for school, but I had the vision that I want to become a master of law. So that means I needed to go to evening school, go through an apprenticeship, which is a 4-year endurance event, and then you can go to university, and then it's again 5 years. So if you still have a goal and you want to go for it, do it because it is possible. Everything is possible in my little brain. Maybe I'm too naive, but that's at least my. But don't do it without training. Don't get me wrong. Don't go into Lake Constance and say Bernhard said I can swim that, because if you believe it's strong enough, no, 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 no. You need to prepare yourself, but I still have to believe that everybody who is willing to put in the hard work can achieve nearly everything.
So, how do you go from being a dropout to literally doing the opposite of what a dropout does and going full on and making a career and a wonderful life for yourself? What changed there? Why did that change happen? Did you have like you dropped out and you're like, I'm a loser now?
Yeah. To be honest, that was one of the thoughts in my mind because I was too dumb for school. Really, I was always. It was not the case that I didn't get it what the teacher was telling. I was just too slow in getting it, and also I was not willing to sit the whole day in front of my books and learning because I didn't have the interest. Also, fair point taken. Um, but the topic was I didn't had the goal for me. So for me, it was like, why should I finish school? I don't have any goal. And I needed to find the goal which I want to go for, and which was in that case the Master of Law, because then I knew, okay, I'm driven. Give me the plan. I know where to go. Let's go. But in school, I didn't have that goal in my mind. What I want to become, it was not there. It came when I dropped out of school, worked on the as an electrician, realized, oh damn, this is a hard job. Maybe I'm not gonna do this until the end of my life. Master of Law would be something cool. By the way, I've never practiced law. I finished the university, but I've never practiced law.
What was the initial intrigue? Like, why was that the path? What was there someone you were looking up to at that point? Or it was just, if I get that thing, then I'll feel self-worth?
Never thought about that one, but I think it could be that this was a driver because never thought about that one, but that could really be that was a driver because self-worth could be because I wanted to prove that I can still do that I can also do it. Could definitely be. But for me, the main goal at that point was that sounds like a super cool career. I'm gonna earn ton load of money if I'm gonna be a lawyer, and that was the main driver, to be honest.
Let's go back. So let's go back to, because we really flew through your story here, but back in March of 2016, what exactly, life is basically perfect at that point, right? Until you found out and had the conversation with the doctors that you have cancer. And so what in that time period, how did that sort of put your life on steroids? Because you didn't just like, I'm sick now and sit down and take it. You, I would say, did accomplish many things that most people don't do when they find out they have cancer. So can we just hit on those a little bit more?
So the by the way, I got the phone call from the doctor that I have cancer exactly here in this room, exactly here where I'm sitting, because I had the diagnosis, I had then a biopsy, and then I was in the hospital, and the doctor told me, "Hey, we're gonna contact you with the information." They called me. My wife was standing next to me, and the doctor said, "Mr. Hengl, you have morbus Hodgkin, so lymphoma cancer. You need to come to the hospital for more checks." And I was like, "Oof." My wife was like, "Damn, cancer." And there was kind of a rumor it's only 5% survival rate, which was not true, but that really spread really quickly in my family, which was not that helpful, to be honest. But for me, the only, and this is a true story, my wife is my witness. The only question that I had is, how many underwears do I need to bring to the hospital? Because this was, in my mind, the biggest challenge at the moment. Sounds super crazy, but for me, that was the most important point. And he said, he was a little bit puzzled at the beginning. My wife was looking on me like, "What's going on with you?" And they said, "Just bring three. If you need more, your wife can bring you the other ones." And I was like, "Okay, perfect. Sounds cool. I'm coming." And you can already see how freaky my brain is doing. That was really the conversation that I had in my brain. And when they explained me the therapy, for me, it was all, when can I go back to training? Nobody could explain me that because they don't have any experience with people who are doing sport when they are sick. So this is one of my main driver. And I still remember I only had 30 minutes through the whole therapy where I thought this is not going to work out. And that 30 minutes was when they were talking about changing my chemotherapy from a weaker one to a stronger one. Why? Because from a physical perspective, I was in a good shape to take the harder one. From a medication perspective, it was a gray zone. If the weaker one could also work, and they decided we're going to give you the harder one. But that didn't. But in that case, I didn't knew how many rounds and how this is going to work out, and when I'm going to be finished with the therapy. And this was freaking me out. But after half an hour, I got the answer, and for me was everything fine. I knew, okay, this is the plan, this is what we're going to do, and then afterwards, I'm done. And for me, it was like a training or like preparing for a game. You're going to go through 4 rounds of chemotherapy, 15 rounds of radiotherapy, reha, and you're done. For me, it was like, okay, deal taken, let's do it. Sounds super easy. It was fucking 8 months, to be honest, but it was, in my brain, it was like, okay, this is how we're going to do it, and this is how we're going to accomplish this one. That's all what went up in my mind. As mentioned, I'm a naive guy. I'm really, don't overthink things. I normally just do it. And in that case, it was super helpful.
So everything you've said, it makes me think that the sort of your one of your secrets to success in all the things that the obstacles you've encountered and overcome is you're very practical and you're not uh slowed down by, like, you're thinking about underwear when someone's talking about chemo. That would be the last thing I would think of. I'd be like, how bad is it going to hit me, and how long am I going to be in bed? And you're thinking probably in your head like, well, I want to be sure to have a new set of underwear so I can walk out the hospital door as quickly as possible. I'm assuming that's the way you're thinking. Is that
Oh,
right?
true.
Yeah. And so it was during that 8 months of going through all of that, what was like what did the lowest point of that look like for you in terms of just your health or your mental state?
So from a mental state, it was exactly that 30 minutes, because that was for me like, oof, I'm maybe not going to make this because I don't have the clarity about how we're going to do that. So the clarity in that case was the most important thing for me. And the real upwards trend, or no, not upward, upwards trend, yeah, was coming when I set myself the goal of winning the 10th water polo title. So this was after or during the first round of chemo, which was horror, real horror. I have never felt that sick and that weak because they gave me the medications or the chemotherapy in here through the port. Um, I think it was still 3 days in the hospital, and every day it was nearly for 3 days I was getting medication. And in the night, I really had, I was the whole time thinking I need to vomit, but I couldn't. And it was really freaking me out because I have never lost the control over my body. I was sick before, yes, but I've never lost the control about my body like that. That was mentally really tough, really, really tough for me to take. And after the 3 days, you go home for a week, and then you're gonna go back for just one day for the ambulant chemotherapy, and then you're gonna rest for 2 weeks. And in the period of the 1 week when I was home, I set myself the goal. And I still remember the curtains were closed because it was a hot April day. And during the curtains, the sun was shining through it. And I was so sick lying in bed and said, I want to win my 10th water polo title. And I was thinking to myself, crazy, but I want to do that. This is the goal that I have. And from that moment on, I could really see, hey, this is going upwards because the brain realized, hey, I have a goal. I know where I want to go. Let's call the other rest just an in-between challenge. I need to get healthy that I can accomplish this one. So my focus and my why was here, but I first need to overcome this here, and this is my path to reach this one. Then I can then win the 10th water polo. Who really can? It's like a fairy tale, to be honest. That I did that one. But having that goal in mind, it was my way forward and out of the crisis.
For people who are dealing with a family member who has cancer or someone who's dealing with cancer and maybe at the beginning stages, you think is that the recommendation that you would give them, is to have a goal? Not obviously not maybe your goal, but a goal that is outside of that, or where your life is sort of on pause now, but then there's going to be this.
So what I tell everybody who is going through a therapy, look for something outside of the chemotherapy or outside of the therapy, because this is moving your mind away from the therapy. Give the therapy to the doctors. Give it to them. They're gonna take care of this one, and take yourself something different. I had an interesting conversation with a guy in the hospital. He was 80 something years old, and he should have not been there because he got diagnosed 2 years ago with cancer up like here. And the doctors gave him 3 or 4 weeks or months to live, so not that long, but he was still here 2 years later. And asking why, he said, I have one goal. I want to bring my daughter to the wedding. That's it. That's my goal. And this is going to happen in a week. So I'm not sure if he's still alive, but this was so powerful because he had his goal, still having the tough diagnosis here, but he still survived. This is for me another indication. If you have a really strong why or a goal, you get so much more power, you get so much more energy that you can accomplish so even more things that you don't believe it. Because if you just stay in the therapy, it's like a negative spiral and it's going down because you're only focused on the negative, only focused on the therapy, only focused on what can happen here, all that shitty negative things here. But if you're going to focus on something which is positive, writing a book, going for a holiday with your family, or winning a sport competition, is moving your mind into a positive direction because it's moving towards something. And this is the only advice that I can give. Look for something that's going to give you, or look for something that's a goal for you, that's moving you away from the therapy. But for the partners or for the people who have a sick kid, don't force them because it needs to come from them. Same like when my parents told me, hey, you should finish school. For me, it wasn't important. It wasn't a goal. You need to find your own goal to move forward. And that's the same in therapy. If you take a goal that's given, it's not going to give you the same, the same power or energy that you need, which is coming from a goal that's coming from you, from the intrinsic motivation.
And then so you are able to complete or get your 10th title in like a year after, in 2017, year-ish. And then you said 7 years later, you're still realizing that there's something sort of missing inside? There's like a disconnect? What what does that actually look like? What were, like, you feeling day to day? What was the disconnect?
That's difficult to say because, as mentioned, on paper, I was super successful. I had the corporate career. I was climbing up the ladder. We had 3 kids before the therapy. We now have 5. So you see, also that was growing. Um, on paper, everything fine. I had a lot of friends. Family was okay. So paper looked really, really, really amazing, to be honest. But inside me, there was something which I could not describe because something was missing. A lot of cancer people know the word fatigue. Fatigue is you're going to be tired, but you don't know why. You can sleep as much as you want. You're still tired. Since I have found my goal with the Alpine 7 and my identity, I don't have any more fatigue. I cannot explain it from a medication or from a scientific point of view. But as soon as I have found myself, this has given me so much energy. And it's also funny, people asking me, how do you do all that kind of stuff? Because it's impossible. No, it is not. You get so much energy. It's giving you so much when you know who you are and why you're doing stuff, especially why you're doing it. This is unbelievable. It's like I have how is it called by Superman? The kryptonite is the negative one. And
Yeah, yeah.
how's the positive one called? I don't remember. There's something positive too. When you get the positive energy, it's unbelievable. And just to be fair, I won the 10th water polo title, but it's not me who won it. It's the team I played for which won it. So as mentioned, it's a fairy tale. Who could write a story like you're coming out of cancer and you win your 10th title? It's like it's a fairy tale.
Yeah. Would you describe it I'm just trying to dig a little deeper. Would you say it's a numbness? Like a like in terms of like, all of these external things should be bringing you happiness, and you're not feeling like, in your mind, the correct level of happiness, like, um, playing with your kids, for example, and you're like, "This should bring me so much joy," but there's something I'm feeling 10% of the 100% that I should be feeling, or I got the raise, whatever it is at that point in your life where it's like, I got the promotion or the thing. And I think a lot of people are feeling this, especially around age 40, is that I describe it as a numbness where you're like, this should make me feel that dopamine hit that I'm looking for, but it's not there, or it's very fast and fleeting.
Super good question. A really good one. Because when you just said playing with kids, before I found my identity again, playing with kids was to me like, I don't, hopefully my kid's not listening to that one. Um, Playing with kids is not really giving me something. I do it because I'm a good father, but it's not fulfilling me. And the funny thing is now, since I have found my new identity, playing with kids is finally fun. I
Mm.
don't know why, but it is because I have realized who am I. I have found my identity. I needed to go through the hell of not even hell, but the inside hell of 7 years to find who I am. Found it, and life is totally changed. So I still have my job, which I'm super happy, super successful. I can even do more things in less time than I did before. It's like a superpower. Like somebody gave me Asterix and Obelix when you drink the magic drink. It's like I'm on that for 24 hours. It's really cool. But
Uh,
and also
Sorry, go ahead.
and I assume the next question is how you're gonna find that one. Um, this is by the way something which I'm gonna make a little bit of advertising. It's my book, but it's only in German, so for the major audience here, not really helpful. But in the book, I'm also talking about my so-called SWIM method, which is self-leadership, why, inner belief, and momentum. What does that mean? If you're looking for yourself, the first thing you need to work on is self-leadership. You can also call it self-awareness or self-reflection, whatever you want, but it's finding out who am I. And I'm a strong believer of don't work on your weakness, focus on your strengths. My favorite example is everybody in Europe or in the world knows Cristiano Ronaldo. One of the best forwarder, we can discuss if he's the best or not, but one of the best forwarder. Does it make sense to let him train as a defender or even as a goalkeeper? Definitely not. His strength is somewhere else. You need to find your strengths, and you also need to find what are your values. Because when I realized that my values are inspiration, authenticity, and family, it was like somebody opened my eyes. Because if I'm doing something which is aligned to my values, it's making more fun, it's easier to do, and it's fulfilling. And if you have that, then it's going to go into the why. In my opinion, everybody should have a why he's doing something. So when you know your values, when you know your why, for example, I'm swimming in lakes because I want to raise awareness for people with illness and raising money for NF Kinder. Because who has ever heard about neurofibromatosis? I assume not a lot of people in this call. And this is helping them also raising awareness for that cause. So if you have the self-leadership, the why, then it's all about inner belief. Because it's easy to find, it's not easy. It's easier to find your values, your strengths, your why, but then it's the tougher part. You need to believe that you really can make an impact. And if you have that, then it's the last part. This is the most difficult one or the easiest one, however you see it. Just move forward, momentum. You need to gain momentum because you can do everything on paper. You just need then to move forward. In my example, I realized I'm not a swimmer. Let's call it a water guy because I'm still a water polo player in my heart who is turning long distances. Swimmer who has a why, who has the inner belief that he can do that crazy stuff, and now needs to move forward in creating the Alpine 7 or even going into the first leg. And that all together is helping you call it being more fulfilled or coming out of your self-identity crisis.
So when I think about everything you've said and all your accomplishments, it's you've been successful and recovered from cancer and all these things because you have set yourself up to have these finish lines you're crossing. And I a week or two, no, it's like 3 weeks ago, I spoke to a guy who walked across the United States, and every day for 100 and I think it was 69 days, he's walking 15, 30 miles, and that was his life for 6 months. And my first thought was, that's amazing, but the day you stop, to me, that's the real challenge, because you've created a new you now who has to go back into society and sort of adapt to going back to normal day life. So for you, once you accomplish these open water challenges that are crazy in my mind, are you already setting yourself up for the next finish line? Are you able to be present and happy with yourself? Or are you always chasing the next thing? Because it seems like you've been chasing a lot.
It's funny because I was watching and listening to that episode too. By the way, it's a good one. You need to listen to it if you have not done it. It's really inspiring. And I had the same question. And I thought, 6 months done, what then? And I thought about the same for my legs. Honest take. I can't give you the answer because I have not finished them yet. I assume that something is coming because I'm kind of a person who likes to move forward. I could, for example, never be in a job where I do the same for years. That's not me. So I always need to move forward. If I need to do another big swim, I don't know it yet. I don't know. I assume maybe yes, but I don't know. But you said chasing, and I'm not sure if it's chasing or if it's fulfilling. And this, I need to think about them because that was a good one. If I'm chasing something, or if it's more that is fulfilling me to move to the next level or to the next step. Not sure about that one. But you could think about it, by the way. Is it?
The reason I ask you these things these are things I'm currently feeling, because I've had a lot of reflection in the last year, losing my mom to cancer, and I've felt the numbness and it's very difficult to find joy in the things I used to find joy, and there's just a part of me that's missing without her. So there's that. But the other thing I've noticed with telling, like being a guest on a podcast, and you tell all these amazing things you've done in your life, if you're lucky to be someone like us to have had a fulfilling life and lived up to this point. But then looking at it, I just see myself as like this boy who is running away from his hometown and has never really stopped running, and he's chasing that next goalpost that I'm gonna, finally reach the top of the mountain and feel something. But once I get to that mountain, there's always the next mountain. And maybe that's what life is in a way, because if you're completely happy with where you're at, then you're gonna kind of become one of these the Disney character, the person in the automated chair going around to Disneyland, and you're fine watching Netflix every night, and you just have no goals, and you wake up one day and you've done nothing with your life. So I think maybe it's good to have that desire, or whatever word you want to describe that, like a deep passion to always be doing something that you find challenging. Like me for now doing a podcast is like I absolutely hate talking to a camera. But it's, to me, it's the big payoff is talking to people like you and being inspired. So it's helping me get through things, but it's also, I think it's beneficial for people, but it also is like personally helping me develop something that I'm not good at. And so I'm just forcing myself to do stuff like this. But for you, it seems like you're kind of on an extreme level of that I don't completely relate with because I'm not like an athlete in any way, but it's very motivational to hear stories. I just always am thinking of my way of interpreting how you will feel, and that's sort of like why I was asking those questions.
Could you ever no, could you go on holiday and just sit there for a week without doing anything? Me neither.
No,
I'm not
no,
that kind of guy. I know I have friends who can do that. I have friends who can. I, I have friends who can drink a beer in the morning and be just on the beach for 2 weeks and drinking every day. I don't know how many beers. I can't. It's not my personality. I
right.
always need to have. I don't need to have full action the whole time, but I still need. Sorry for that one. But I still need to forward. It doesn't mean I need to always run a marathon every day. It sounds cool, by the way, but I'm not a runner. I'm joking.
Next time.
If my wife is listening, I'm joking. I'm really joking. Maybe swimming. Joking. Ooh, that could be a hot discussion. But I'm that kind of guy who always needs to move forward. And I still have the word chasing in my mind. I'm not sure if I'm chasing something. I think it's just moving my borders forward. How far? Maybe is it how far can I go? How far can I really push that one? Not in a sense of being extreme, but how far? What else could you do, or what else could we achieve? As human being, I have one belief: we are, sorry for that word, maybe it's beeping. We are too fucking comfortable. The whole normal day, what I'm gonna do from 8 in the morning until 6 in the evening, I'm sitting in this chair and staring in a screen. In the past, many years ago, we were running through the field the whole day, and it was fulfilling. And now we really get comfortable thinking about running for 24 hours or swimming for 24 hours. It sounds impossible for so many people, but it's not. If I can do it, hey, nearly everybody can do it. You, maybe you don't need to run or you don't need to swim, walk for that distance. It's possible. But we are really getting too much comfortable, and we're complaining about too many things because we are getting too comfortable. Now I'm going in a direction which is dangerous, but you know what I mean.
Yes, yes. It's technology makes it very easy to never leave home.
Yeah, that's true. Definitely.
Yeah. It's work from home, have a podcast from home. Like I can go 3 days without stepping outside. But it starts to weigh on you and you start to feel it, and you feel a disconnect because it's, you need to be in the world and around humans. And yeah. Um, well, this was absolutely great. I could obviously talk to you for a lot longer, but if anyone's related to anything you said or has any questions or just wants to reach out and hear more of your story, should they just reach out to you on LinkedIn?
Best thing is go on LinkedIn, reach out. I'm always happy to have a talk. I'm always happy. If you, by the way, if you're gonna go through a crisis like this identity stuff, which I mentioned before, feel free to reach out. I know it's especially for high performer, it's tough to talk about it or even to acknowledge it. But if you want to just chat about it, talk about it, hey, reach out. I think you know it when you feel it and you have listened to that, and it's making your heart beat a little bit faster. You know that we talked about the same shit. So just reach out.
Good luck on your next swim.
Really appreciate. I'm gonna need that.
Thank you for your time.